All right. So to get started, I'm going to log into Command. And what we're going to do is I've already set up an opportunity. So I'm just going to really quickly walk through how to get to the opportunity so we can jump right into DocuSign. So over here on the left-hand side, we'll go to Opportunities. And then for simplicity, I'm going to click on All Opportunities. And then I've created this test one down here for 1234 Main Street. Now I've already gone through and filled in all of this information about my buyers, the property they have under contract, and all of that. The more information that you can add in Command and as a part of the opportunity, the more information that'll get pulled in directly into DocuSign. So it just makes it one less step for you to have to do once you get into DocuSign. So we'll click on the Documents tab, and right here in the right-hand corner, Start a Transaction. This is what we're going to click to go into DocuSign. It is very important that you click on Start a Transaction from within Command, because that's the only way to have DocuSign and Command link. If you start a room within DocuSign, you then won't be able to come into Command and try to link the two together. So make sure you click Start a Transaction. Also, another thing to keep in mind here, if you have started a transaction in .loop, you're going to have to finish that contract in .loop. You're unable to switch systems halfway through. So I'm going to click on Start a Transaction. You can think for a second, and it will open up in a new browser window. If you have pop-up blocker on, it will likely block this window from opening up. So just double check that to make sure, because I have talked with a few agents that couldn't even get to this step because their pop-up blocker was preventing it from happening. So DocuSign will have me log in. And now it has created the room for me. And you can see here, the room has been automatically named 1234 Main Street - Core Tech - Buyer, which is what I named my opportunity in Command. So this lets me know that these two, that Command and DocuSign, are linked. Our first step here is going to go all the way over to the left and go to the Details tab. And this is where we are going to enter in all the information about our clients, about the property, and it is from all of the information in the Details tab that will get auto-populated and generated in our documents. So to get started here, click on Edit in the right-hand corner. And now I'll just scroll down and fill out as much information as possible. So location, so for me, I'm doing 1234 Main Street, Atlanta, Fulton County. And I'll just go through this process and go step by step so you can see how I'm doing. And if you want to follow along, by all means, I highly recommend it. I think it'd be really helpful. 30342, property type, single family, detached, year built. Let's do 2000. Special circumstances, none. We'll do offer date. We'll just do today's date. $400,000. The contract amount, earnest money. Let's do $3,500. Contract date. We'll do today's date as well. Binding date. We'll do today's date as well. Contingency removal date. We'll do May 10th. Appraisal contingency. Let's do 25th. Loan contingency, 25th. Yeah, so you can just add in all this information. It's pretty straightforward. Expected closing date, June 1st. Financing type, conventional. And as we fill in all this information, this will be helpful as we pull it up in the exhibits. So I just got a question, how to get started with a buyer's broker agreement and DocuSign. So that we're going to get to that in just a minute, but before you even get to any of those documents, you have to fill in the details tab because it's the detailed information and details that will fill your buyer broker agreement. So scrolling down, and if you don't have any of the information, it's fine. You can add it into any of the documents itself. Closing. All right, I think we are good here for the information on the left. Now, one thing to keep in mind is all of our client information is going to be over here on the right. So for this example, I'm representing the buyers. So you can see here, we have seller 1. So if you were going to be the listing agent, you would fill in seller 1. And it's important that you fill in the correct client side information because that will affect where that information is auto-populated into the documents as well as signing rights. So fields are mapped to if it is a buyer or a seller. And if you put them in the wrong spot, it won't map correctly and will affect their ability to sign. So scrolling down, we don't need seller. We don't need seller 2. So I'll just scroll down till I get to buyer 1. So here we go. Buyer 1, you can see this information has been pulled in from command. So that's why I'm saying the more information you have in command, including your contact cards, the less information you have to fill in DocuSign. So buyer 1 name, this is pulled in directly. So I'm using myself as buyer 1, phone number, and since I'm the buyer here, I don't have to fill in the address information. Buyer 2, this is the tech account that I created for testing, kwfatech@gmail. Perfect. Buyer 2. So buyer's agent, that's me, my business phone number, company address. So I'll need to fill in the city here. Anytime there's any information missing, just add it in. Go 3, 4, 2. And then buyer agent 2. So if you're on a team or you have a co-agent, you'd add that in there as well. All right. So I've gone through, added all of the information, as much of the information as I have. And I guess you could come up here, local currency. We could, fill this in under contract. MLS number. I'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So. All right. So now I'm going to click Save in the bottom right-hand corner. Perfect. So our next step is going to go to the Documents tab. And this is where we're going to start adding in our buyer brokerage agreements, our purchase and sale agreements, any of the GAR forms. One thing that we will not be adding here is our KWFA affiliated marketing disclosure and wire fraud prevention documents. Those will be added in the envelopes, and we'll walk through that process in just a moment. Documents is where we add all of the GAR forms. Within documents, it auto defaults to a room docs folder, and this is where all of the documents are going to spill into. You can create folders in here. So if you want to organize your folders, so if you have one folder for your buyer brokerage agreements and then one folder for your purchase and sale agreement, you can do that. Just know that compliance doesn't look at your DocuSign rooms at all. So Lynn and Alita aren't going to look in your rooms, so they don't have to be organized. So you can be as messy as you want. All of the compliance takes place in command. So here you can set this up any which way that you want, but I will show you how to add a folder if you want to. So you'd click on Actions here, Add Folder, and I'll just name this Buyer Brokerage Agreement. Great. So now I have a folder. So I have a question. So I got a question. Do you need to create an opportunity in order for you to start the document in DocuSign, or can you start straight from the document? So you do have to create the opportunity first in command to then hit start transaction for the DocuSign room to be created and linked to command. So you have to have that opportunity first, and you also have you have to have the opportunity in order to submit your information for review from Lynn and Alita. All right, so I've created my buyer brokerage agreement folder. Now let's start to add some documents to our room. To do that, click over here. We'll click Add. Now here we have a drop-down menu, so you could select some documents directly from your computer. So if you've received a document from a lender, so if you wanted to add the pre-qual letter here, or if you receive a document from the co-op agent, you can add it directly from your computer. Docusign Forms is what we'll be using today. We also have Zip Forms, so if you use that, and then if you store anything in Box, Dropbox, or Google Drive, you're able to pull those forms in as well. So for today, we're going to use our Docusign Forms. So click on that, and this window is going to pop up. Now, in the past, this gray screen has kind of been there for a minute, and it took Docusign just a minute for this window to pop up. If that happens on your end, just give it a minute or two. It's not frozen. It will load. It has gotten a lot faster, so I think we should be good and we're in the clear. But if it does take a minute to load, just give it a second. If this is your first time logging into Docusign, there will have a window here that says to confirm your NRDS number. You have to fill in that NRDS number to confirm that you are a member of the National Association of Realtors and have access to the Georgia Association of Realtors forms. Once you have confirmed that, you now have access to all the GAR forms. So we will select the Docusign Forms library, and then library, we will select GAR, Georgia Association of Realtors. I don't know why we have the Greater Alabama MLS on there. Just ignore it. So we'll select our GAR forms, and it's going to start loading the forms. At this point, I would recommend that you add all of the forms that you are going to use at this one time, just because the window does take a little bit of time. So to do that, you can start searching here. So we'll do buyer brokerage. One thing I would also recommend here is start to memorize the form numbers. So for the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement, F110, because every single GAR form is loaded here. And a lot of them have very similar names. And I have pulled in a commercial purchase and sale agreement more times than I care to admit. So just start to memorize those numbers of the forms that you use regularly, and that'll make it much easier for you to pull that in. So I'll select buyer brokerage agreement. And let's do, I think, is it F201 is going to be my purchase and sale agreement. And then we'll do conventional loan exhibit. So I will, and then as you add forms, this counter right here in the bottom left-hand corner of the window will update so you know how many forms you've added. So I'm going to add those 3 forms. And Docusign will reload, and it will show those 3 forms. So you can see here, it put all 3 of those forms into the Room Docs folder, but I created my buyer brokerage folder, agreement folder, so I'm going to move my exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. So to do that, when you roll over your mouse over the document, there's a little circle in the top left-hand corner. Click on that, and when you do that, this toolbar on the top of the screen appears. And so you just roll over to where you hit the move icon, and we'll select the destination. So I'll do folder in current room, and then I will select the buyer brokerage agreement folder from the dropdown and hit move. And so now it has moved it. So it's just one way, if you want to organize that, you know how to move those forms. So now let's get started in filling out our buyer brokerage agreement and our purchase and sale. So to get started on it, just click on it, and it will load the document with all of the filled in information. So you can see here, it's buyer 1, buyer 2. It has, it's showing Atlanta Sandy Springs as our office. I'd recommend updating that to Keller Williams First Atlanta. And then we'll add in today's date. So it says 5/1/2020. I'm still working with the MCA office to make sure that all of the information that's pulled in for our office is correct. So it says Keller Williams First Atlanta instead of Atlanta Sandy Springs. So term date, we'll add in our date here. Oh, excuse me. 5/1/2020 through, and we'll do 6 months. So we'll do 11/1/2020. And we'll just scroll through this document just like you would in .loop or in RDocs and just fill in everything. So click the button here, select dual agency, sub agency. What I'm doing here, this is not necessarily how you fill out your forms, and this is not a contract class. So make sure that, Alita and Lynn are the one that give you direction on how to fill this out. I'm just going through here using some common inputs. So we'll do 3% here. Buyer shall pay the difference. And fill this in any which way you want. So we're just scrolling through the fields. So as we scroll down, I want to highlight this portion of the document. This form is copyrighted and may only be used in real estate transactions in which blank is involved as a real estate licensee. You will notice on every single document that is blank. We don't have the ability to fill that in here, but keep in mind that when we get to our envelope section, we will be responsible for putting our names in here. When DocuSign was loading all the GAR forms and going through and mapping out all of the input fields, they did not include this one. They know they need to fix it. It's in their to-do list. So for now, we need to fill it in ourselves. So just continuing to scroll through, just double checking any places that we have any input fields that we need to complete or select. All right, brochures. All of the brochures are loaded into DocuSign, so you can add those as well. So I'll just select the brochures that I would send. We'll also select HOA. Any stipulations you want to add, just start typing them in. So it's really simple. You just click on the area and just start typing in whatever stipulations you want. One thing that I personally really like about DocuSign that's different than .loop is that you cannot delete the text field. So when I was in .loop and I was trying to enter something and I misspelled something and I was trying to go back and delete, I would always catch myself holding shift and delete, and it would delete the whole text box. You don't have to worry about that in DocuSign. So just one less thing to worry about. All right. So we'll scroll down here and we can see that our buyer's information has been automatically added to the signing area. So buyer 1, buyer 2, and email address. There are no signature fields here, which is going to be different than .loop. The signature fields are added in the envelope. So everything looks good here. We don't need to fill in the address unless you need to. Come down here and make sure that all of our information is filled in. Now, this is the information I was telling you about. We're working with the MCA office to figure out how to get all of this information loaded so you don't have to come in here and type it in every single time. So we'll just come in here and fill it in. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, fill out this information as thoroughly and accurately as possible. All right, so we have filled in all of our information here for the buyer brokerage agreement. I'm gonna hit save and close. I have a quick question. When will we talk about making templates? So in this class, I don't talk about making templates. I'll add some additional information on there. I'm still learning myself on making templates. So that'll be kind of a DocuSign 2.0, but it is, we do have the capability of creating templates. And I can share with Jennifer, I can share some information with you after this about how to get started on that. Because I do know a lot of people are interested in creating those templates if they have special stipulations they like to add to every single document. So we filled in the buyer brokerage agreement, hit save and close. And now it is saving all of the information. So let's quickly walk through the purchase and sale agreement as well. And we'll do conventional loan just so you can see another example of how to fill in information. So very similar to the buyer brokerage agreement, most of the information has been auto populated here based on what we filled in the details. I want to call out that you can see here we have our information of 1234 Main Street. If I change that here, so let's say I want to add Southeast to this, or if I change this address altogether, that would change the information in the details tab. So details and documents are linked. So any information that you put in one will automatically load in the other and vice versa. So be mindful not to go through and override any of the information in the document because it will change the details tab. And once it changes the details tab, all of the subsequent documents will be updated as well. So it's very important. Now, if you find an error, if you're going through the purchase and sale, like, oh no, I forgot to add in this specific part of the address, add it in here and it will automatically override it, which will be helpful. But if you're just trying to make small changes here and there, I recommend do not update anything that's been auto-populated. So starting at the top, we will fill in our offer date, come down here to our purchase and sale documents. So we will come down here, I'm just gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. All right, you can see our purchase price of buyer to be paid, $400,000. Closing costs, we want to ask for $5,000. Closing, our date of possession will be at closing, and we're going to have closing on June 1st, 2020. Holder of earnest money, we'll do First Atlanta. Closing attorney, we will select our friends at Campbell and Brannon. Office. Earnest money. So yeah, you just go through, you click, type in anything you want. Earnest money, we'll do, what do we do? $3,500 within 3 days. One thing to point out here is when you try to, you can add in commas here. So if you want to do, 3,500 with a comma, you can add it in here. Other areas of DocuSign don't allow you to add in commas. So it's just personal preference. I know some agents like to have them in there, some don't. So our due diligence, 10 days. Lead-based paint, this is built in 1990. So I'll be representing as client. Here, we'd add in, let's say, Harry Norman as client, material relationships. Time limit of offer, so we'll give them until 5 o'clock. And one nice thing about this too is easy to hit shift. So you can hit tab. So you can tab from one field to the next. And we'll make this for tomorrow's date. And again, highlighting here that the copywritten section on the first page of our GAR form is empty, so we will need to fill that in the envelope section. So we are just going to continue to scroll through the document for any empty fields that we need to fill in. All right, so we are scrolling. Good to go. All right. So we have our conventional loan exhibit, so we'll check that. We'll make that Exhibit A. Seller's property disclosure, I don't have that in this folder, but we know that we would have that here. So special stipulations, sellers to have property professionally cleaned upon moving out before closing, seller to provide seller's property disclosure within 24 hours of binding contract date. So since I don't have the seller's property disclosure, I would just add that in there. Add any additional stipulations that you want. You can put in as many as you like. So we will scroll down here. So now we're on the on the purchase and sale agreement here, and you can see that our buyer's information automatically populates. So we have name and email address. Traditionally in .loop, I would have deleted my client's email address off the purchase and sale agreement. However, as I just said a minute or so ago, if you delete anything or change anything within the Documents tab, it will change it in the Details tab. So if I were to delete my client's email address from the purchase and sale agreement, it would delete it out of the Details tab, and thus there wouldn't be an email address in there for me to send this document out for signature. So I will show you in the envelope section how to hide your client's email address to protect their privacy. Now, I know 9 times out of 10, our co-op agents aren't going to do anything weird or shady and reach out to our clients directly, but there is always going to be, the chance or fear that that co-op agent would reach out directly to our clients. And we want to avoid that and protect our clients. So I will show you how to hide that, but I just wanted to point that out so you didn't start to delete that information here. So scrolling down, we'll want to fill in the information. We just filled in most of this on the buyer brokerage agreement. Just fill this in because we do not want Alita giving us a bunch of notes, edits that we have to make. Right. So everything looks good to go. We'll do save and close. And then really quickly, I'll just update the conventional loan exhibit. That'll take a minute. And then we can move to envelopes where we can double check and add our signatures and get everything ready for to be sent out to our clients. So GAR form, conventional loans. I'm just going to open this really quickly. So we made loan exhibit A. It automatically added the offer date or address. Let's do 90%, 30 years. We'll do 4.25. All right. We'll just scroll down. Financing contingency, 25 days. Appraisal contingency, 25 days. All right. See, here's our information here. And then you can see over here, it says it added Harry Norman because I had added that as the listing agent in the purchase and sale agreement. It automatically added that information into the Details tab and is now going to be loaded into every subsequent tab. So I have it, everything is filled out here. Let's click Save and Close. All right, so we have gone through, excuse me, and created all of our documents. All of our GAR forms have been filled out in the document section. Now we are going to send them to our clients for review and signature. There are 2 ways. So let me back up. In order to send our documents to our clients for signature, we have to create an envelope. And Michael New gave me this analogy that it's worked really well for me and I like to share is think of the envelopes like a literal manila envelope. It is a place where you put your forms, you put them in that envelope to hold them, and then you would hand them to another person and say, please sign these. It's that same concept of a place to put your documents for signature. And to create an envelope, there are two different ways that we can do that, and I will show you both. The first way is when you're in the documents section, you can scroll over each document. The circle in the top left-hand corner appears. You can select it, give it a little check mark. And as I mentioned earlier, this toolbar at the top will appear. So you can select all the documents that you want. And so for today's example, I'll want to include all of them. So once you've selected the documents you want, you come up to the toolbar, scroll over until you find the DocuSign tab. And what you would do is you would click on DocuSign, and that would take you directly into envelopes. DocuSign as a verb within the system is the process of signing. So that is the first way that you can create an envelope. The next way is if you click on the Envelopes tab right here. So we have no envelopes. We will come over here to the New and click New. And this is going to this is the same screen that we would get to had we selected the documents from the Documents tab. So we'll just start at the top of the screen and work our way down and add all of the information. So Envelope tab, envelope name. I recommend that you name this your property address name, so your clients totally know what it is. Or if it's before you have a property, you know, their name, buyer brokerage agreement. I'm going to do BBA and purchase and sale agreement. And then I'm going to do today's date because I'm going to be sending multiple envelopes throughout the transaction. So I'll probably first start with the buyer brokerage agreement and the disclosures. Then we'll have our purchase and sale agreement, then any amendments, any closing docs. So just kind of name the envelopes so you can keep track of them so you know what is included in each envelope. Then we will scroll down and we're going to add documents to the envelope. So we want to add the GAR forms that we just filled out. So to do that, we will click on Room Docs. And here it'll show all of the documents that we have available for signature in our room. So I will select all of them. And you'll notice they're all in alphabetical order. So add selected. And they have all loaded and they're in the same alphabetical order. Here you can click on the document and it will do a really quick preview. So you can just do a quick double check. All right, everything looks good. Our commissions are good. So, all right. Here is where we add our affiliated marketing and wire fraud prevention documents. And these are templates that the MCAA office has created for us. So to get those documents, we'll click over here on Use a Template, and this window will pop up. We'll click on Shared with Me, and the list of all of the available templates for Keller Williams First Atlanta are available in this folder. What we want to do is scroll down and double check, make sure they have the documents that we want. So we want the affiliated marketing and wire fraud. You'll notice those documents are in here twice. So we have buyer versions here and then seller versions down here. You want to make sure that you select the correct version for which side of the transaction you are working on. The signing fields are mapped specifically to the buyer or seller fields. And for this example, I'm working as the buyer's agent. And if I were to incorrectly select the seller's version, there wouldn't be anywhere for my clients to sign because my clients are in DocuSign as buyers. So it wouldn't know what to do with them in a buyer's version and vice versa. So for me, for this example, I have to select the buyer versions of both the affiliated marketing and wire fraud disclosures. So once you've selected your templates you want, you can hit Add Selected. All right, so here we have a list of all of our documents. They are in alphabetical order, but I want my clients to sign the buyer brokerage agreement first, then the wire fraud and marketing disclosures, then purchase and sale, and then conventional. So we want to reorder them in that order. So to do that, just grab the document and move it into the order that you want. So I'm just going to grab the affiliated marketing and drag it over here so it's behind my exclusive buyer brokerage, and do the same thing for wire fraud. And then I'm going to grab conventional loan and put that after purchase and sale. If you want to ensure that these documents are in this order, you have to reorder them the first time you add them to an envelope. If you don't, and you send them the first time in which order, the alphabetical order that they automatically appear in, you won't be able to reorder them subsequently down the road. So I want to make sure I highlight that, because I've had some questions and had some issues with that myself, of sending documents and my clients appear to be signing a purchase and sale agreement before buyer brokerage, and we don't want that. All right, so we've added all of our documents. If you need to add any more, you would do that here in either room docs or templates. So now we're going to continue to scroll down, and we are going to add recipients. So we'll click on this drop-down menu here, and we're going to select pre-tagged roles. And this is what's going to pull in that information from the details tab of the roles of our client. So I input the information as buyer 1 and buyer 2. So I'm going to select pre-tagged roles. Here it says buyer 1. It's going to show a list of all the documents. So it just looks like it shows affiliated marketing, but it is actually a list of all the documents that have a buyer 1 field in it. And I'll come to the right and select recipient from the drop-down menu. And I'll come over here and I'll select my name with my personal email address. Same thing for buyer 2. Come over here, select my KWFA tech, and then buyer agent. Come over here and I will select myself, my KW, my realtor address. You don't need to put in the buyer broker, because no one from First Atlanta has to sign anything. So you can leave the rest of the fields blank. And then I will hit Add Selected. All right, so here you'll notice that on the left, there's a box with a 1 in it. This is the signing order of the documents. So right now it is set up so that way when these documents are sent out, everyone will have the right to sign at the same time. But sometimes we may want a specific order. So let's say we want buyer 1 to sign first, and then buyer 2, and then we want to sign, but then we want buyer 1, buyer 2, and then us to sign. To update that, you just click in here and change the number like I just did, and that will change the order. If you are going to put documents to be sent out for signature in a specific order, you have to make sure that there is a field on each document for that person to sign. So if, let's say I wanted to put myself to sign first, if I don't have to sign one of the forms, that signing lineage is going to stop right there with me, and it won't actually ever get sent out to buyer 1 and buyer 2. So just be very careful to make sure that there is a signing field in every document in that for each recipient in order that you've selected. And then over here within each signing signer's field, we have a drop down that currently says it needs to sign. You can select this and you can change their rights for the document. So we have our needs to sign, needs to view, receives a copy, specify recipient. And I like to say, so receives a copy would probably be the most common one, or needs to view. So let's say if you're working with a buyer, first-time buyer, younger, and maybe their parents are heavily involved in the process, and they're not actually going to be on title, so they don't need to sign anything, but they want to make sure that they're reviewing all the documents and making sure that they're providing guidance for the child. You may want to add them in here as a recipient and as a receives a copy. And then to the right of that, we have more. And here we can add an access authentication code. So let's say if your clients were, really privacy conscious and wanted to make sure that there was no chance of anyone signing documents on their behalf without them knowing, you can add a code here. So you would select that, and then you could input a code. And they would need this code in order to actually sign it. And then the next is if you want to add a private message. So let's say you were having a conversation with buyer one, and you could put added info in field 2 from our conversation. So you could add a private note there for that specific client. So I got a question, so let me check that. All right. All right, so we have our recipients here. You can add more recipients. So if you wanted to add just an email address, you could select someone here and just add their name. So let's do Mike Ray, and we'll do Mike Ray 123@gmail. And then I could set this as just needs to view. And then to get rid of them, you just kind of hover over it and this X appears and you would hit X there. So continuing down the page, now we have our message to our recipients. One of the easiest ways to update our email subject is I would recommend leaving please DocuSign, but come up here to our envelope folder and just copying the address and then what it's about. So we can do please DocuSign. And so by having this subject line of please DocuSign and the address, it lets our clients know, hey, there's something here for you to sign. It's with this specific address, and these are the documents. So they know to expect it, and I imagine you've already had a conversation with them about it. And then we'll want to add a quick message. Please sign documents at your earliest convenience. Message here should be really short. You don't want to put a lot of information in here because of the way the email template is. It's hard to read, and I'll show you that email template in just a moment. So I got a question, is if this is being recorded, and yes, this is recorded, and I'm going to add it to YouTube later this afternoon and send it out before end of day. All right, so we have created our envelope, we've titled it, we've added all of our documents, we've organized them in the order that we want them to be reviewed and signed. We've added our recipients, we've updated the order, their signing rights, and added a quick message. Now we click on next, and this is going to take us to the part of DocuSign where we add signatures, double check signatures, and make sure everything is good to go. So over here on the right-hand side, you can see here all of the documents that are included in this envelope and in the order that they're going to be received. Excuse me. This is the way we double check to make sure that our documents are in the correct order that we put them in. And you can click on the drop-down menu, and this will provide thumbnails of each of the documents, so you can quickly scroll through to double check the information and make sure if there's any place that we need to add a signature. You can see here on page 7, we have these little note cards, looks like little sticky notes on the left, and that lets us know that there's information, a signature field that has been added to this part of the document. So what we're going to do, well, actually, before that, up here in the top left-hand corner, there's a drop-down menu, and you can see right now it has Nicholas Core as yellow, and that shows up over here as buyer 1, AA Tech Test is our buyer 2, and that shows as blue, and then right here is myself as the agent as purple. And that is the way that we can distinguish as we're going through the documents who is responsible for signing what fields in the document. And it's also the easiest way to know if you're going to add any additional information or signatures or initials to make sure you're adding the right person. So I had mentioned earlier that we, on the first document of every single GAR form, we need to fill in the copyright information. So to do that, I'm going to come up here to the top left-hand corner. I'm going to select myself as the agent, so it shows purple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on name right here, and then it's going to show full name. I'm just going to click on that and add that there. And what this is going to do is this is going to, when I go to sign, it's going to automatically add my full name there. And then here are some formatting stuff that automatically pops up here on the right. To get out of that, just click back onto the document. So we'll just scroll through. We want to make sure that all the signatures are in there correctly. And I think we should be good to go for the purchase and for the buyer brokerage agreement. Everything looks good there. So I'll come to affiliated marketing disclosure. All right, we have buyer one, buyer two. Now here you can see that with the affiliated marketing disclosure as well as wire fraud prevention, there isn't any information for us to actually fill in, which is why it's included in the envelope section and not the document section, because it only needs signatures. So we have our signatures here. And then for wire fraud prevention, same thing here, signatures. We have our signing date. It'll show their full name based on the information we put in the details tab. And this date here will automatically update to the date signed. So I'll have a question, so let me check that real fast. All right, so a question about the copyright section of the GAR forms. So I'll quickly show that again. So on each one of the GAR forms, on the very first page, there is a field at the bottom that says this form is copyrighted and may only be used in real estate transactions in which blank, ourselves, so myself or you, your name would be there, is involved as a real estate licensee. Basically, this is saying is like, we have the right to use this GAR form. DocuSign did not put in a field here to add our names to it in the document section. They did not map that field. So at the moment, we have to manually add our name to this section, to this copyright section on every single GAR form that it is included. Because we need to make sure that all these documents are filled out fully. Any missing information can affect its legality, and I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a compliance person, so don't get me too much into the details on that. But we want to make sure that these documents are fully written out and that the other agent knows that we have the right to use these. So to put your name here, you want to select yourself as the agent. So for this example, myself as the agent is purple color. And then come over here, click on name, and then you will drag over the name field and it shows us full name and drop that there in this blank. Then when you go to sign the document, it will automatically add your name there to that field. And you have to do that for every GAR form. So this is our buyer brokerage agreement. We just looked at the affiliated marketing as well as wire fraud prevention. So let's double check our purchase and sale agreement. So we'll click on the first page here. We'll just go through, double check any information. And let's say, for instance, you forget something, you're like, oh, I need to add just like a little bit of information. You can add some information here. So you could do, select the text box, and this obviously isn't correct. I'm just using this as an example, but you could add so if you needed to add text there, you could add that text right there using the text field here. Now, I recommend that you double check your documents within the Documents tab numerous times to make sure that everything's in there, but this is a little bit of a workaround for you to show how to do that. All right. So we see here we have on the first page, we have 3 stickies there to let us know there's 3 places for signature. Well, I've added the purple one. And then we have our buyer initials here. And then we have our name here that's blank. So I'm going to select my name here and then put the full name right there. So scrolling over here through the thumbnails, we can see that we don't have any additional fields to sign. All right, so we have buyer 1 here and buyer 2 here. Now remember I told you I'd show you how to hide our clients' email addresses. So we can't delete them here because it's a PDF, but what we can do is come over here to the left-hand side and click on Markup Tools, and then we can click Line, and what we can do is we can make a line here. All right, and then the format features pop up over here. So we'll do color, we'll want to make this black. Thickness, we'll want to make this a little bit thicker because we want to be able to block out that full email address. And then what you can do is you can hit copy. So I just hit copy on that, paste, and another bar will show up, and I can just drag that down here and cover my other buyer number 2 email address. This isn't the best workaround. I've reached out to Hutch at the regional level to kind of get his input, and he said at the moment this is probably the best way, or you can remove your email address from the details tab, but then that creates a lot more work in envelopes, so I don't recommend that. So for the time being, I would recommend that you cover up your client's email address with this black bar, or be comfortable with it being included in the purchase and sale agreement, whichever works best for you. So we'll scroll down and we'll see that the signing field for myself as the agent is not included. So I need to add that signature field. So I'll just click on signature, bring that over here and drop that there. And then I'll want to add the date signed. So I'll click the date signed feature and bring that right here. And those will auto-populate when I sign. All right, so this is purchase and sale. So scrolling through conventional loan, we'll just double check this as well, and everything should be up. Oh yeah, here we go. We got to add our copyright name here. Make sure everything's included. Buyer 1, buyer 2, perfect. All right. So one thing I want to show you really, really quickly before we take our next step and send is that on our buyer brokerage agreement, as well as on purchase and sale, but more specifically for buyer brokerage agreement, we have the binding, making it binding. And in the past with .loop, we would send this out for signature to everybody. And then once we got it back, we would make a PDF version and then add in the binding date, which is how most of us did it. We can go ahead and add some fields here so it will automatically fill in when I sign. So I've set myself up to be the 3rd signer. So once I sign it, this date information will automatically load and will make it automatically binding. So to do that, just come over here, I'll select date signed. So I want to make sure that since I'm the 3rd signer, I want this to work with to be affiliated with when I sign. So I'll put the date signed here. And then I can come over here and I can select text. And I can just add a text box there. And I can come over here and add text box here. And you'll notice I'm not updating the text. This is going to leave a blank field in the document. So when I sign, I can manually input the exact time and AM or PM of the date. This is the same thing you could do for your purchase and sale agreement. Now, this is assuming you're the last one signing, you could do the same here of coming down here, and you could add date signed here, and then has been filled in by, and add your name. And this is going to be the easiest way to set up your documents so they can become binding. Now, there are a couple workarounds which I could show you in just a moment. So I think our documents are good to go. We've put in all of the information. So before we send, let's just do a quick recipient preview. Up here in the top left-hand corner, we can select how we're going to view the document. So I'll select buyer 1. And this is going to show the buyer everything. So you can click start and how they have to bounce from signature to signature to signature. And this is just another way that we can double check to make sure that all of the signing fields are included correctly. And you can also look up here how it's going to look on a computer versus a tablet versus a phone. All right, so we are good to go. So our next step is to hit send. And now this is sending out the documents for signature. As you remember, I set Nicholas Core Buyer up as buyer 1. So that email address, my personal email address, is going to be the first recipient to sign. So in order to sign those, I'm going to come to my personal email. Please don't judge the number of emails in here. And then I see I have an email from Nicholas Core via DocuSign. Please DocuSign 1234 Main Street, BBA and PSA. Click on that. Here is the email. Here's my photo with my email address so they know that it's for me. Please sign documents at your earliest convenience. So I click on Review Documents. I'll just click Allow. You want to select Agree, Continue. And I'm just going to breeze through this really quickly because I'm going to have to do this multiple times. Sign, sign, sign. So I'm signing as buyer 1 right now. All right, so I have finished. So I have just click Finish. It's going to say log into DocuSign, or it'll say create a DocuSign account. Just click, tell your clients to hit no thanks. All right. I am all done. So now I can come over here to my KWFA tech email. And you can see I didn't have an email originally. And now I'll click inbox to double check. And now I have the right to sign. So I'm signing now as buyer 2. So the second one in the process. Click Review Documents. Click Allow. It's the same thing. Continue. Start. Sign. Now, I haven't set up an account for AA Tech Test. So before I can start signing, it's going to ask me to select the style that I want for my signature. So I can just use the auto-populated one, I can draw one, or I can upload one. For today, I'm just going to adopt this and sign. Sign, 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 sign. All right, finish. So it's going to ask us to create an account, to save it, to hit no thanks. All right, let me come back over here, inbox. So now I'm going to go to my KWFA email right here. And it says, you can see here, I actually have a couple emails saying Nicholas Core Buyer 1 review document, Buyer 2 review document, and now it's my turn to please DocuSign. Click Review. And I'll hit Continue. Start. hit sign. And then remember, I added those fields, those text fields. So they're empty, but since I set them under my permissions, I can now fill them in. So I'm going to just type in 11. I'll hit tab to A. So now I filled in so that this will be binding at 11 a.m. on the date of 5/1 and added the date there. Even though the date's here, I just like to be safe and add the fields in over here. Hit next. Here I added in this have a wonderful day. I could change it if I want to and put it's beautiful outside. I'm just adding in text just to show you how that would work. Click next. Sign here, sign there, hit finish. Now, one of the really great things about that I really like about DocuSign is, so I'll come back over here to my personal or to the other email accounts, click inbox, and it should come over here. Let me try it. So you can see I have an email that says completed, please DocuSign. And now the completed documents are automatically sent to our clients. So with .loop in the past, once everyone signed them, we made them binding, we would then have to download them and send them out to our clients manually or send them again from .loop. DocuSign automatically sends them out. So they have those copies in their inbox. Let me close this. So as buyer 2, I'm going to look and see the completed documents, and they can see everything here is all filled in. There's my name that I added. And they can print them, they can download them. So you don't have to send them. So that is a part of our compliance, is sending them the documents. So you can see there is for buyer 1's email. All right, so I come back into DocuSign. I'll hit refresh on envelopes, just so you can see that this is completed. You can click on it, and it will show the time that it was completed for each one of the signers. You can view documents, you can view history, and when you're done, you can just click this X here, and that'll take you back. Now, we want to go into documents, and you'll see down here in the Rooms doc, we have the signed copies of each one of our documents. So it has the green check mark in the bottom right corner of the preview and says sign. We also have this certification here that shows it's a red PDF. You can click on it to look at it. And this is shows the certification that each one of the signers signed, the times. If there's ever any question of your buyer being like, oh, I never received that document, you can show them, actually, I have this document here from DocuSign that shows that you signed that at 11:02 in the morning, right here. And then you can hit the X in the top right corner to close. So here are all of our documents. Let's say, for instance, you get a signed document. I'll just add it to the purchase and sale. So let's say you get a signed document and you need to make it binding, but you have to kind of maneuver it, and it's not the same way that we would have done it in .loop. It's going to be just a little bit different, and I'm going to show you real quickly. And this is just more of a workaround than any type of recommendation. So we'll just click new. And this is just going to be just for me. So room docs, so you would select the document that you want. And now you can see here, we have every single version of our document. So we have the editable document here, but then we also have the one here that says signed. So for this example today, I had already made our purchase and sale as well as the buyer brokerage agreement binding. So I'm just going to show you on the wire fraud prevention how you could do it. It'd be the same thing. So I'll just select that document. I'll come down to recipient, hit room participants, and then I'm going to select myself, agent owner, add selected, and I'm just going to breeze through this. So come to next. And then what you could do, come down to the bottom. So let's say, for the sake of this, let's pretend that there is an empty binding agreement date. So I could come over here. I just make sure that I'm the only one selected. I would hit date signed, select that there, click on name, add that to the name field. And if I need to add any specific text, you know, so if I needed to put 11, A, so let's say, you know, for 11 a.m. So I'm just kind of putting in what the fields would most likely be to make it binding. You would just add those in, and then you would just hit send. So I'm sending it just to myself. So since I'm already logged in, it will give me the ability just to sign right here. So I can just click, it says needs my signature. So just click on it and it'll say sign. So to open up the signing capability, I'll click continue, scroll down. There isn't anything actually for me to sign. It's just auto filling in that information. So my name, the date, and then just click finish. Let it save. All right. So now that envelope has been filled. So I'll come back to the documents and we'll scroll down. So I did the wire fraud prevention. So now you will see I have a wire fraud prevention notice Rawls Group document signed. This is the version that I want to use because it's the one that I just made binding. So scroll down, you can see at the very bottom where I added in my fields to make it binding. So that is kind of a workaround for how you can make a signed document binding if you don't add it when you initially send out the form for signature. Now, we talked earlier about you know, kind of organizing our documents. So if you wanted to, you know, move all of these affiliated marketing disclosures, we want our buyer brokerage agreement, wire fraud prevention. Oh. Let's see, get all those. All right, we want to move those, so we can just hit move right here, select our destination, folder, buyer brokerage, move. So now I've kind of organized this. So it's going to show all my buyer brokerage agreements up here at the top, and then my purchase and sale and conventional loan exhibit in the bottom. Let's say we want to send this purchase and sale agreement to our co-op agent, and we want to combine all of our PDFs into one PDF for easy sending. To do that, click on all the forms you want to include. So we'll want to make sure that we check the green ones. So we'll select the conventional loan exhibit and purchase and sale. So these are the only two that we have as a part of our offer. When we select those, this toolbar up at the top is becomes available, and we can select combine, or you can, excuse me, you can right mouse click on a document and you can, well, I guess not here. That'll be the next step, sorry. So we'll come up to the top. So you have the two documents that you want to combine, or however many documents you want to combine, and then click on combine here. It'll have your two documents. Well, we don't want conventional loan exhibit first, so we'll just click on purchase and sale, and we'll drag that up. So it'll put purchase and sale first, and then our conventional loan exhibit. And then we'll want to give this a new name. So 1234 Main Street Southeast. Offer 5/01/2020. However you want to package these and name these up. Click Save. DocuSign will reload. We'll scroll down, and then you can see here we have our new document that includes all the purchase and sale. So just scrolling through, as well as our conventional loan exhibit right here. So that's how you'd be able to combine your documents within DocuSign. On the flip side, let's say you receive a counter purchase and sale, or you're the listing agent and you receive a purchase and sale offer from the buyer's agent, and it's all one document. You can split those in DocuSign. So to do that, you would just upload, so come over here to add from computer, and you would upload that large PDF with all those pages in it to your room. Then you come over here and you would right mouse click on that document and you could hit split. And it will pop up a quick preview of all of the pages of the document. So, and if you wanted to see more specifically, you can roll over to say, okay, that's purchase and sale. Come over here. Okay, page 9 is conventional loan exhibit. So we want to make document 1. We want it to be pages 1 through 8, because we know it's going to be a purchase and sale offer. We'll just name this 2 so we can kind of keep track. Then below that, we'll click add a document, and then we'll select pages 9 through 11, and we'll make this conventional exhibit 2. And then we'll click save. DocuSign will reload. And then we'll come down here to the bottom, and you can see here's our purchase and sale agreement offer 2 and conventional loan exhibit 2. One thing to keep in mind with DocuSign, they put everything in alphabetical order. You can see here, organize name. You can change it to the added, oldest, newest. So we'll change it to it's the newest document. So we can see your conventional loan exhibit and purchase and sale 2. Those 2 documents that we split are right there. So that's how you would split a single PDF into multiple documents within DocuSign. Now we have all of our signed documents. We are good to go. And now we need to send to Alita for review. So I'm going to come back into Command. I'm still in my Documents tab. And we're going to start adding our documents. So in Command right now, it has a default for on the buyer section to have a consultation. Do not use this. Don't add any files here. Our MCA office will not review any files here, but because it's a part of Command, we can't change it. So what we'll do is we'll come to under contract, and this is where we'll start adding all of our files. You see our purchase and sale, and right here it has a list of all of the common documents that are used with each purchase, but this is not, this list is not a requirement. You don't have to have every single one of these documents, and there's going to be some additional documents that you may add that you don't see listed here. So I'll show you how to add those, and there's 2 different ways you can add documents. You can come over here to the right-hand side of each of the corresponding documents and click add a file. And this will allow me to add a single file at one time. So I clicked on add file. I'll come over here, source of documents, and I will click DocuSign. And when I do that, it's linking with the room that I created. And this is for my purchase and sale agreement. So it has a list here of all of the documents, but I did also create folders. So I could select the buyer brokerage agreement folder if there were documents in there. So I will just scroll here because this is for purchase and sale. Scroll down and we want purchase and sale agreement signed. So I will select the purchase and sale agreement signed, and then I will hit assign. And now that has added this document to Command. And you can click on it to get a preview just to make sure you pulled over the right document. scroll down, everything's signed, 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 signed. We're good to go. But hey, we just had a bunch of documents get signed. I don't have time to go through and add them all individually. So let's attach multiple files. So we'll click on attach multiple files here. And then similarly, at the top, we will select file source as DocuSign. And then what this is going to do is going to show for each one of these pre-populated lists of documents, there's a drop-down menu from DocuSign we can pull over. So we'll just scroll down the list until we find the documents that we have. So loan exhibit, I have conventional loan exhibit here. So I will come down to conventional loan exhibit signed. All right, buyer brokerage agreement. We'll scroll down till we find exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. So it's in the buyer brokerage agreement folder. Perfect. Exclusive buyer brokerage agreement signed. Our Rawls Group affiliated marketing disclosure. So scroll down to the folder that we created. Affiliated marketing disclosure signed. Wire fraud. Wire fraud notice signed. All right. As soon as we've selected all those documents, we will hit attach. And if we scroll down, we'll see here we have our loan exhibit, buyer brokerage agreement, and our affiliated marketing disclosures. And they've all been attached to our opportunity. But let's say we have an amendment that we want to add, something that's not pre-populated here. You would click add item, enter the document name here, just do amendment 1, select document type. This is a requirement to upload, but it doesn't matter. So if you get it incorrect, it's not a big deal. But I would click addendum here, and then source of documents, DocuSign, and then that list of all the documents here will show up. And so let's say this, I'm going to pick the wire fraud prevention document signed. So this is the one that I made binding. So I will select this, and it will come to the very bottom and be added as amendment 1. So once you have added all of your documents, you would click submit to MC. So this would be click to Market Center for compliance. And that's where Alita is going to review your documents and give you any notes. When she reviews it, if she has any feedback or things that are approved, you'll get a notification here with their little red dot that'll say compliance event has been approved. And that'll let you know, or there'll be notes here, and there'll be notes next to each document if there's any error or something that you need to update. Let's say you come into Command and you update a document. Let's say I'm just going to update counter offer. I'm going to show this just as an example. Let me come over here. So I'm going to show you, because what you can do is you can add documents to your command. And then let's do sellers, settlement statement. You can add documents from command. So I'll add that here. So my settlement statement, I'll hit assign. But I didn't upload this into DocuSign. So what I can do here is click sync transaction, and we'll want to update. And what this will do is it will update this document to my room. So if I come over here and reload the page, it should include, hopefully, that settlement statement. It did not work. So my apologies. One of the benefits of live training. So that we've attached all of our documents, we are good to go. Now, let's say it's, a week later, you have sent everything over for review, you're good to go. You're like, oh crap, now I need to get back to DocuSign. There are two ways to get back to DocuSign. One is from within your opportunity, within the Documents tab. You can click on Go to Transaction, and that will automatically put you into your room. That is one way. Another way is you can go directly to DocuSign, sign.com. And you come up here to the top right-hand corner, click Log In. Just log in with your information for your Rooms account. And this is going to put you into the main e-signature portion of DocuSign. And we use DocuSign Rooms. So right here in the middle, it says DocuSign Rooms for Real Estate, Get Started. So you can click here. And then in the top right-hand corner, this drop-down menu appears and it says Switch to Rooms. Click on Switch to Rooms. And this will take you to a dashboard with all of your rooms. That authorize window will pop up randomly. Once you've already authorized, you don't need to worry about it again. And then here are my recently viewed rooms. I'll click on the room that we were just working in. Takes me to the Details tab, come to the Documents, and boom. We are back in our DocuSign account. All right, so that was our DocuSign training, start to finish, step by step. We walked through a lot of information from creating our room, filling up the Details tab, to updating our documents, creating an envelope, sending for signatures, making binding, as well as combining and splitting documents and attaching to a command. We have a few minutes left, so I want to make sure if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer any of those for you now. So let me know. You can either chat or unmute yourself. Could you go over uploading a PDF where you're adding both text and signature boxes? The listing agent sends the SPD and you need to include it in the offer. Okay, perfect. So what I will do is, so to add a PDF version, I would come over here and click Add, select Computer. So let me just come over here. Clients. I'm just gonna. So, okay, so here is, I'm just gonna add. Oh, okay, well, I haven't gotten that message before. Weird. All right, so let's try this. Perfect, okay, so that document was added. So I just added the lead-based paint exhibit. So it's a PDF, so I can't do anything to it in the Documents tab, right? It's done there. So what I would do is I'd go to Envelope, click New Envelope. Room Documents. I would select the document. Or what you could also do here is you could upload it directly here. So I could have just uploaded it directly here. So let's try uploading this seller's property disclosure. No, I guess, I don't know why I have incorrect characters in there. Okay. So I have my lead-based paint. I'll add my recipients. So room recipients, we'll do buyer 1, buyer 2. Let's do go 2, and we'll do 3. So update the signing order, then I'd click Next. So here, I would want to add any text in there under my name just to be safe. So I would add a text box, let's say up here, because we want to make this Exhibit A. And then if you wanted to format it, you could, come over here and change that. Thought you'd be able to center align it, but we'll worry about that later. So we'll want to add some text here. Offer date. So we'll make this, 4/30/2020. And then if you need to come over here, we need to add our buyer signature. So I'll come over here to buyer 1, add signature, and I'll add date signed. And then I'll come over here to add buyer 2, signature, date signed. And then I'll select myself because I'm the buyer's agent. Signature, date signed. So then once you have all that information, you would just send this out for review and signature. So that would be how you add a PDF and add signatures to it.
Hey, Nick, thanks. That was super helpful. And one of the reasons I was asking is I was trying to get a contract signed, kind of similar to that, at like the 11th hour last Friday night. And I got the same error message you had just gotten. So I thought that was interesting. Is there like a size requirement? Is that maybe why we're getting, because I couldn't even do it last Friday night.
Yeah, so that's the first time I've gotten that error message in regards to the naming convention. So I'll play around with it. And figure out why that happened. I put a lot of spaces and dates and things in my file names just so I can help organize them. So that may be why. So I'll figure out exactly why.
And it was more like what you had when you first tried to do it at the room level. And maybe that's what I'm learning from this. It looks like you couldn't do it at the room level, but you really need to do it at the envelope level. So maybe that was my mistake or something. Yeah.
Well, you can do it. You could add documents that are PDFs either at the room level or at the envelope level. It's really personal preference.
Okay. Awesome. This has been great. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Any other questions before we go back to our business today? All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. As you are playing with DocuSign, do not hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help in any way that I can. I'm going to add this to the YouTube page and send out a link this afternoon to everyone so you can reference it. Start playing around with DocuSign so you are ready for that June 5th cutoff of .loop. And have a great rest of your Friday, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you very much.